I made a bold prediction that gold would hit $2,000 by the end of this week. We'll see if that comes true, but I still stand with that prediction. I also want to offer to you the idea. Can you see the price of gold hitting $22 by the end of June? I'm going to talk about why I think that's, a distinct possibility as we head through the month of June. Oh, and it has something to do with the Fed, and it has something to do with a lot of doom and gloom. You want some doom and gloom? I'm going to give you 5 doom and gloom points, and it will impact the price of gold and the price of silver. But first thing we want to talk about, $2,200 gold by the end of June. How's that going to happen? You guys already know, right? The Fed is hawkish. That puts the dollar up. That puts the price of gold and silver down. But will the Fed, will they be able to raise rates in June? I made a prediction, and I'm going to stand by it, that on June 14th, that's 2 weeks. Do you realize what a big day that is for gold and silver and platinum, my friend Neil, and palladium? That's a big, big day for us. That could be the day that officially the tide turns. I'm predicting the Fed will not raise interest rates. I was just talking with Peter Grandich. I don't know if you know Peter Grandich. He's a legend in the precious metals area. A super nice guy. We've struck up quite a friendship. And I asked Peter, I said, what do you think? Do you think the Fed's going to raise rates on June 14th? I'm going to have my interview with him coming out in a few days. But Peter said, Ron, do you have a coin? And I laughed. I said, I'm a silver stacker. Of course I have a coin. So I showed him this coin right here. That's a beautiful round that I got from Coin Shop Chris. He said, flip the coin. So his opinion, it's a 50-50. I'm sticking with they're not going to raise rates. You know what that's going to do for the price of gold and the price of silver? Do you have any? Can you envision 2 weeks from now if the Fed pauses like I'm predicting? Do you realize what that can do for the price of silver, gold, platinum, and palladium for that matter as well? It will be a rocket ship ride. Imagine a sea of green, how that will make you feel. And I believe that's where we're headed. Now, we got to talk about a little doom and gloom first, because that's the reason why the Fed is going to find themselves in a position where they're just not going to be able to raise rates. The data that, they want to raise rates to slow the economy down. Well, guess what? The economy's already slowing down. They want to raise rates to reduce the amount of money in the economy. Well, guess what? The amount of money in the economy is already slowing at a serious, serious rate. Just think about these 5 things. Number 1, banking. Remember the banking crisis? Oh, and I got something else big I need to talk about with you guys as well. We got a lot to cover in this video. Remember the banking crisis? Remember, right? 3 of the 4 largest banks in the history of the United States failed within the last 2 months. No, not a big deal, right? No, big deal, because it's not just them that are under stress. The whole banking sector, right? It wasn't just 3 one-off situations. No, the whole sector's under stress. And you know what that means? That means the banks are not injecting as much money into the economy. They're not loaning as much money to individuals. They're making it harder to get a loan on a car. They're making it harder to get a loan on a house. They're making it harder for a company to get a line of credit. That reduces the amount of money in the economy, the amount of cash. And that's all that inflation is money, right? Too much money going after too few goods. So you got number 1, the banking crisis. Doom number 1. Doom number 2, recession. And what I mean by this is, are we in a recession? Are we barreling towards a recession? What do you think? How do you feel? How does your household feel, right? Look, the fact of the matter is the Federal Reserve raised rates at a record pace over the last 16 months. Those rates, they have a lagging effect. It's kind of like when you put fertilizer on your yard, right? You don't walk out an hour later and poof, it's all, but no, it has to rain a few times. It takes a while for the fertilizer to take effect. Same thing with the Fed and their interest rate hikes. We're just now starting to feel the effects of them. And they may have given too big of a dose. They may have put too much fertilizer on the yard, right? Or you know the analogy I'm getting at. So when those effects come through in full force, maybe in 3 months, maybe in 6 months from now, right? We're already slowed down. The debt limit, right? Look, we won't even get into that. Peter and I had a great discussion on the debt limit. The debt limit situation from a fiscal stimulus perspective, the government's not going to be spending as much money. We're still racking up plenty of debt. Don't worry. They didn't address that, right? Good old McCarthy, he caved, right? But not as much. So that will be less money going into the economy. The other thing we got to remember, the Treasury Department has no money right now. They're going to need to refill their coffers. They're going to be sucking money out of the economy, dollars, because Americans are buying treasuries because the rates are so high. Foreigners aren't buying them. They don't want anything to do. They're selling treasuries, right? So Americans are going to be buying these treasuries. That sucks money out of the economy. And finally, sorry if you have student loans, but apparently you're going to have to start paying, back your student loans. Again, more money getting sucked out of the economy. What about $17 trillion in consumer debt, right? Do you have over $5,000 in credit card debt? If you don't, you're doing well compared to your average American who does indeed have $5,000 in credit card debt. That record amount of debt is now being charged almost record high interest rates, again, sucking more money out of the economy. I don't want to go further down this rabbit hole, guys, but I got a feeling that 2 weeks from now, we're going to have a pause, and that's going to send the price of gold and silver rocketing higher. Envision that. Can you see that? Can you feel that? What you've been waiting for, I've been waiting for. I know, we shouldn't care about the price. I forgot. I'm sorry. You know. Gold and silver are real money. Everything else is just unicorn fart dust. That's the motto here in Ron's Basement. So we value our silver and gold by the ounces. However, if the price skyrockets, we're not going to be too upset about it. We'd rather see it going up, up, up. But what we really know is value, right? Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. And that famous Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett statement applies to the metals as well, right? Price, that's just a number. Poof, unicorn fart dust. Value is what you have, right? And don't forget, that ounce of silver, here, this beautiful ounce of silver I got from Coin Shop Chris, right? That same ounce of silver has been valuable for thousands of years, and not just here in my basement, universally throughout the world. It's the most reflective metal. It's the most conductive of electricity, right? There's a shortage of it. I know. We love our silver. I love silver. I also love gold mining stocks. I'm not a gold stacker, but I do love silver. And I do love gold mining. And I do love gold. Do you love gold? Do you love silver? Which do you love best, silver or gold? Leave it in the comment section. Let's get a feel, right, for us as we're here together right now. So very, very interesting. Here's what I want to touch on with you guys that nobody's talking about. This is, those things that are obvious, but nobody's talking about. Well, this is one of them. And I've heard several very intelligent analysts talk about this lately as well. I forget who it was. Maybe it was Andy Schectman. I heard saying this last night, but I've said it before. I'm not saying he took it from me or anything like that, but Andy Schectman pointed out the fact that we're having more and more crises occur, right? The banking crisis, the 2020, all these crises are starting to occur, and they're happening faster and faster. And what I've said about this, and I think this is something that we can forget, is that all this big stuff that is happening, that's happening more frequently and at larger scales, that's totally a symptom of a system system that is under stress. Easy for me to say. Let's take a look at the chat and see what you guys like. Both David Metcalf. Platinum for Neil. C130 like silver. Ninja Cook. What is the reason the Fed raises interest rates or lowers interest rates? Well, Ninja Cook, the basis of that is if the economy is too hot, if inflation is too hot, the Fed will raise interest rates to make money more expensive, to make the value of the dollar go up. That's bad for precious metals. But now the Fed's in kind of a little bit of a predicament. Our old friend Jerome Powell, he's in a little bit of a pickle where he's being faced with high inflation and a slowing economy. That's called stagflation, by the way. Stagflation, that's our friend. We like stagflation if we're invested in precious metals because stagflation is the most fertile ground you can ever ask for growing the value of silver and gold. And we are barreling towards stagflation. All right, sure, certainly feels that way to me, although I am sometimes wrong. You can ask my wife, Susie. I think there was something the week before last that I was wrong about. Maybe she can remember what it was. Anyway, we're going to stagflation. We're going to stagflation land. And that's a fun place for us to go, gold and silver investors. Oh, Pat Todd, shout out from the Watkins. Glenn, all right, Pat Todd, good to see you. Good to see you, Marshmaz Laffy Taffy. Who will care about credit cards when we have another depression? Yeah, what's the issue with credit cards is this. The scary thing, why you don't want to have a credit card balance. If we have like hyperinflation occurs, right? Credit card debt rates are floating, so they can float up with however high interest rates go. Whereas like your mortgage or a car loan, those are generally fixed rate financial instruments, meaning if you got a mortgage right now at 3%, it's always going to be at 3%. It doesn't float with interest rates. 1971 stagflation. Silver went from $1.50 to $15 in 1 year. Oh, hey, Neil, that's from you. Neil from Neil's Han Dynasty. Neil, I'm rooting for platinum to hold that $1,000 range. I know we're long-term investors, but nonetheless, I'm rooting for it. I am rooting for it. All right, guys. Let's talk about debt. The debt ceiling, more debt. All they're doing is giving us more debt. Peter Granich and I talked about this earlier. You know, we're going to get to a point real soon where the Fed's going to be faced with a decision. Either let the system crash or print more money. You got to realize, right? Because there's so much debt, right? The U.S. government, now they're saying we're going to get up to 50 trillion, I'm hearing. There's so much debt that there's not going to be enough money to come in to them. They're going to have to create money to buy the debt. Now, that's what Japan's been doing for a decade, and they're in bad financial shape. And soon, that will be what's faced by the U.S. Federal Reserve. And when I was talking to Peter, I'm like, so basically what we're looking at is a scenario under which they're going to be making up new money, right? To buy the debt, they're going to be using diluted dollars. Do you know what diluted means? That means like when you weaken something. That means if you got a nice pitcher of Kool-Aid and you want to have more Kool-Aid, instead of adding more mix and sugar, the real value that's there, you just add water, right? And that's what the Fed does when they print money. Unicorn fart dust, paper, make-believe money. That's what they do, and that is absolutely what we are going to be faced with. I got something super interesting for you guys about gold in a Gallup poll. If you haven't heard this yet, you're going to be, I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked about this, and it's good for silver and the silver price as well. I want to hop over and look at some of the wow, 200 people from all over the world. You know who the most important person is? You. Right. Without you, and for me, it's me, right? We wouldn't be here together, talking, learning. Leave some comments, guys. Have a question, ask it in the comments. Look, you are smart. Your opinion matters. Don't forget that, okay? Please, please leave some comments. But I've got something fascinating, a Gallup poll regarding silver and gold. But let's jump over to the comments because that's where the most important people are here. DeFrisco says, Japan is worried that it's not there anymore. Marshman, Zimbabwe, South Africa, gold and diamonds pay the world's debt. Yeah, the African countries are slowly moving toward gold-backed currencies. You know, Libya apparently was trying to do that when, what was his name, Muammar Gaddafi got himself into some trouble. So, hello, Jim Telepa, Ron is special. Yes, you're special too. No doubt about it. Dr. Jekyll. Did we default? No, not yet. Not yet. Frank DeSilvo, big money is still loading up on the metals. Yeah, that is so cool to realize, right? And I think I heard Andy Schechtman talking about this as well. Everybody's talking about it. The COMEX, you know, the COMEX, that market here in the United States of America, that upstanding organization where they somehow create silver out of thin air. Poof, right? Where'd my unicorn go? Well, anyway, they make, yeah, right, the COMEX and the LBMA, the London Bullion Market Association, and the LME, the London Metals Exchange in London, England. Have you heard that their inventories of what they have in their vaults it's really, really low. And you know why? Because big money is pulling the physical metal out of the warehouses. They don't like to talk about that. That's not a real pleasant subject for them. They had a similar situation arise, I don't know, a year and a half ago with nickel, that other metal, right? Created quite a stir, if you remember. Like the price of nickel went up 10 times over in the course of a couple hours. So big money, what's the big money doing? What's the big money doing with precious metals right now? Okay, they're buying, right? That's also with silver in Shanghai. The Shanghai Gold Exchange had like the largest one-day withdrawal of silver in 10 years. Okay, what does that tell you? Think about that. Noodle on that for a second. What does it tell you? And Peter Grandich talked about this morning with me as well. I mean, we can't say this enough. The world central banks are buying record amounts of gold. Yes, more than they bought when the world was on the gold standard. I don't know. Do you feel good owning precious metals? Yes or no? Put it in the comments, and I'll even read your name. Look at all those ones. Thank you, guys. Do you feel good holding on to precious metals? Stuff like this. Huh? Hey, Johan Cameron, yes. Justin Hardy, yes. Sassy Silver, yes. Original Intent, yes. Ronnie Van Strunkernagel, yes. Ronnie, good name. Coinshop Chris says yes. Dr. Jekyll says dinar. I think they're talking about Iraq. EV Bullion, yes. Yeah, everybody says yes. Desperate Dan in the United Kingdom. Desperate Dan, you're in the right place. You get some camaraderie here. David Medcalf, yes. Sharon Johnson, yes. Dr. Jekyll, yes. Ninja Cook, yes. Ronnie Buntal, LOL. Clarity, yes. 1,000 silver. Gold and silver are my real money. Yes. Ancient Tom, absolutely. Bartazzo, Chorzazos, yes. Frank DeSilvio, new Fed t-shirt. Inflate or default. Low blood pressure is not feeling good about holding metals right now. Jim Tully Powell says, of course, Ron, you big dolt. Marshmaz, no dinar, just followed the story. Do not keep it in an IRA. No, Cody Corey's not feeling good. It calls fool's gold because platinum is worth twice as much. That's right, Neil. Laffy Taffy says, I kiss my 15-kilo silver bar goodnight every night. That's nice. Yes, I'm overboard with silver. I have to jump a ship to keep my metals floating. I can't keep up with you guys. What do you think, scam or not? I do DR. Both grand illusion of the central banks. Wow. Thank you guys for participating. Now let's talk about this interesting Gallup poll. What do you think? If the richest country in the world, what if nobody in that country really owns silver and gold, but they're the richest country in the world? And we know those statistics. Only 0.5% of financial assets are in gold and silver. What if the people in that country started to wake up to the value of silver and gold? We live in a bubble, right? We are in an echo chamber, right? We live in our little bubble here of gold and silver. You know, you're always welcome. When you come here to Ron's Basement, you are a basement man with me. You are a basement woman as well. Women and men are all welcome here, okay? By the way, please give this a thumbs up. If we get to 100 thumbs up, I will ring the bell 10 times for you basement men and basement women. And we're trying to get to 28,000 subscribers by the end of June, and June hasn't even started yet. And that's a big goal Coin Shop Chris put me up to. So please subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And I won't ask again, but I'm going to ask now. Please subscribe. We're at 88 thumbs up. But the richest country in the world, right? Nobody owns silver and gold. Very few people. And we know, right? If just a few more out of every 100 wake up, what's going to happen? It's going to be like trying to drain Hoover Dam with a drinking straw. I didn't make that one up. I think Doug Casey did, but nonetheless, that's what it's going to be like. People rushing. It'd be like the Carnival cruise ship sinking, and there's only one lifeboat. And guess who's on that lifeboat, right? We got there early. You and me, we're on that lifeboat, and we got thousands of people swimming to it. Luckily, we got a motor. I don't know what we would do. Nonetheless, bad analogy. That's the situation. So when we read this from Zero Hedge, I can read, just so you know, Americans rank gold as the second best long-term investment. This is some fascinating information via shiftgold.com. Americans consider gold the second best long-term investment option, according to a recent Gallup poll. That's legit, Gallup poll. I think it is. I mean, it seems legit, right? Gallup poll. It sounds legit. Anyway, gold beat out. Listen to this. Guess what gold beat out? Guess what gold rated higher in the Gallup poll for safety with Americans? Stocks, bonds, and savings accounts. Let that sink in. I'm going to give you some detail because I know you want detail, and the devil is in the detail. The perception that gold is the best investment over the long term, this is crazy, rose from 15% in 2022. So in 2022, 15% of Americans thought it was the best investment in the long term. 15%. It rose all the way to 26%, almost doubled in the 2023 poll. Let that sink in. Overtaking stocks at the number 2 spot. Let me read. I just got a few up. We're going to take a bell break. Hold on a second. Thank you very much for the 100 thumbs up. You get 10 rings of the bell. It gets even more interesting, guys. Let's see here. There's a guy named Louis Street, who's an analyst at the World Gold Council. He said, on the contrary, the number of Americans naming gold as the best long-term investment almost doubled. I said that already. This despite interest rates climbing to a 16-year high in March. The Gallup poll dovetails. I never really understood what that meant, dovetails with gold demand data. Demand hit an 11-year high in 2022. Driven primarily by central bank gold buying and physical gold. Last thing I want to read you. Am I a good storyteller? World Gold Council research shows Americans recognize gold's long-term value proposition and, I think they meant to say safe haven. They said save haven attributes. According to the World Gold Council, around 2/3 of investors agree that gold is a good safeguard against periods of political and economic uncertainty and that the price of gold increases over time. End of subject. So what is that? I mean, what is that telling us? The number of people in America that are recognizing the value of silver and gold, not just us, it's growing. It almost doubled last year. Maybe that's why silver held its own while the demand from India kind of cratered. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'll be right back. When I'm gone, I want you to say something funny to the bear. Right? If you say something funny to the bear, I'll be right back. Okay? Give me 1 second. Come on, everybody. It's the bear. You got something funny for me? I get kind of tired down here in the basement. Oh, and by the way, could you ask Ron to lower this number to 2,300 so I can get this blindfold off sooner as opposed to later? All right, guys, I'm coming back. I hope that bear didn't say anything. He's been instructed to keep his mouth shut. Let me see if anybody has anything. Dovetails. There's only a $100 coin. Be more interesting if you get up and dance. D. Fristo said that to the bear. I just saw a rat in the basement. Really? I hope not. I'm going to tell you a story. We had a birthday party for my mom on Saturday, and I'm one of those people, I'm just being honest. The older I get, the less I like having parties at my house, okay? But we're going to have a big party when the bear gets 2,500. Well, anyway, I was tired. It's 1 in the afternoon. I'm laying on the couch because everybody's showing up in an hour, trying to get a little rest and a relaxation because that's important. And Susie, we have a big screened-in porch off the back of our house, and the cats hang out. Pippi, the silver cat that many of you know, and Jasper, the big doofus, most lovable cat you'll ever meet in your life. But doofus, definitely. All of a sudden, Susie screams, "There's a snake on the porch!" And I'm like, what? Because we live in a suburb, and there are what are called snakes around here. You see them from time to time, but never. I go out, and there's a snake this long, not a big one, black snake. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Because I don't like picking up snakes. And I know they're good, and I know they eat rats. That's what made me think of it. Somebody said they saw a rat in our basement. So I tried and tried. I got a 5-gallon bucket, and I kept using a shovel. And anyway, I hate to admit it, okay? Please don't be mad at me because I'm not a violent person. But the snake was looking like it was trying to bite me, and I'm trying with the shovel. And I'm like, you know what? Mr. Snake, and it was a flat-ended shovel. Anyway, there's one less snake on planet Earth right now. I'll leave it at that. Well, then, 3 hours later, we're out there, and we saw a little mouse. I've never seen a mouse or a snake on that screened-in porch. And we couldn't get the mouse. It, ran back into its burrow or whatever. Okay, I'm sorry. It's bear season. I love it. BRICS nations, our economic enemy. All right, guys, this is the time. This is the time. Snakes are bankers. Yeah. I think I saw Jamie Dimon on my screened-in porch. This is the time. Questions. Ron, I'm thinking the silver will blow up after tonight. I'm feeling good about silver, but I'm getting this weird gut feeling that we're going to be over $2,000 in gold by Friday and $2,200 by the end of June. I could be wrong. Don't base any financial decisions based on that, but that's just my gut feeling. You guys are awesome. Now's your time. Rabbit poo doesn't stick on their fur. There's a snake in my boot. Ron, I'm thinking silver. Yeah, I'm hoping. I'm not gonna look, man. Silver could explode. That's the thing about silver. Let's talk about that for a second. Gold could explode. Gold could explode like a firework. Silver could explode like an atomic bomb. We know because of the supply-demand fundamentals going on, the rigging that's gone on with silver over the years. Silver could really, really take off. Way more than gold. And it's done that more traditionally, right? Usually, gold will go up first and then silver will follow, but in a much more dramatic fashion. So we could definitely see an explosion in silver. And I think really conditions are quite different right now in general. So yeah, don't be surprised. I mean, could you imagine? Close your eyes for a second. Come with me on a journey. I mean, could you imagine like a day when silver's up like $40 an ounce in one day? And it could happen with platinum too. I mean, it could happen with gold. What's all this Sandman stuff people keep sending me? Like there's some secret agreement amongst the non-G7 countries that they're going to dump the dollar all at once. I don't know. Not saying I believe it or unbelieve it. I'm just saying what I read. So, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Sandman. Have you heard about Sandman? If you have, here, the Sandman cometh. The time is nigh for the new gold standard. Get with me, Chad, electric-powered electric generator patent. Debt increases will pass tonight. One more dog and pony show. Yeah. I mean, what a joke, right? What a joke. That's all I can say. I mean, it really has become a joke. All right, guys. Thank you. Yes, you for joining me today. I'll see you next time. Until then, be well.